One of the things that we're supposed to do in Shed Wars is grow something in a plant. Not the kitty cat. Not sure what she's doing. But she is next to something in a pot. If you will not do that, that would be very nice. There's a little piece of something there. I have tomatoes that were in a special Dollar Tree thing. I think I mentioned that in a previous video. I have some basil, 2 different kinds of basil. Some eggplant. That bloom looked nicer yesterday. I have another bloom going to come out. This is an artichoke. And more eggplants. And the one over here is a fig that I brought in to begin its process of thinking it's winter. Here is a pepper. I brought it up on the porch yesterday. It's going to be getting colder and I'm going to be bringing it indoors, but I need to find something to put underneath. And that reminded me I have 2 other pots that I brought inside. And I don't know that they look real good, but these are peppers. They've grown all summer. I don't have any peppers. Got little blooms on them, so who knows, maybe. That's a lemon tree. The rest of what you see here are house plants. So the house plants won't count for anything on Shed Wars. They're very beautiful though. Things in pots here, the only one I'm going to mention is a tomato. I have some little tomatoes still on it. They won't get ripe before that one's turning a little bit. I'll bring it in. No. It's not ripe enough to pull off. A squash in a pot. I got one squash off of it earlier. I have here kale in a pot, a chard in a pot, tomato in a pot, some celery, tomato, more tomato, some thyme. Here I have this big pot, got various things in it. Big pot with herbs in it. Pot with a lilac tree in it. And this is, gosh, it's just now blooming. 2 pots that have tomatillos in them. Back there are some pots with weeds in them and one with a tomato. The weeds are growing quite nicely. And I'm going to pick these to take in the house. Here's some onions in a pot. Under here I have some celery. And under here is some lettuce. I have some pots down here that I've planted some, I think it was, might have been beets. And there's a pot in there which I'm not going to uncover for you to see, that has some, I think it's kale or chard in it. And here's another tomato. And a couple of pots with weeds. So you see, I did grow some things in pots, just like I was supposed to do. So what do you need to know about how to grow things in pots? For one thing, you need to make sure that the pot has good drainage. You may have seen that I had one pot laying over on its side. That's because when it rained, the pot got full of water. I thought I had holes in the bottom, but they evidently got plugged up. But the plant is doing just fine with the pot on its side. You could put rocks or something in the bottom, but there's a question about whether that really works to put rocks in the bottom of a pot. What I tend to do, so that I don't have to use as much potting soil in my pot, I go out to my compost pile and I grab leaf mulch or leaves, stuff off of my compost pile, and put it down in the bottom of the pot. And then I put compost and potting soil on top of that. And that seems to work fine. And it helps fill up the pot so the pot isn't all the way full of soil. And I do have to make sure that I have holes poked in the bottom of the pots, because drainage, good drainage in a pot is extremely important. One summer I grew almost all of my tomatoes in a pot. This summer I just had some in a pot and then some out where I've shown you on previous videos that were not in a pot. Who should grow in pots? I think anybody can grow in pots. It's good because then you can put plants wherever you want them. And if they're getting too much sun, you can move them. If they're getting too much shade, you can move them. So there's lots of good reasons to grow things in pots. And then the things that haven't finished growing by wintertime, you can bring them inside and either put them by a sunny window or put them in your room that has your grow lights, if you have a room like that. And you're all set to go. You could keep on growing even during the winter. Well, that's all for today. May the good Lord richly bless you.